Hi everyone, thanks for watching. So today's video is going to be a video that has been so requested so heavily in the past 2 weeks or so. I am going to be sharing my eyeshadow palette collection. I've been seeing a lot of people doing this on YouTube and I don't know if that's why some more and more requests have been coming in for it. It's exactly what I'm going to be doing today. So if you would like to see my entire eyeshadow palette collection, let's go ahead and jump into it. You guys might know that I have been doing some declutters for my makeup collection. I've done like lipstick, highlighters. My most recent one I did was foundations. I do have eyeshadow palette declutter coming up, but it's not going to be for at least another month, if not a little bit longer. So when I was seeing the request come in to share my eyeshadow palette collection, I was like, oh, no big deal, because I'll basically be doing that when I do the declutter. But knowing that it's going to be so far out, I was like, let's just go ahead and go through it now. This might actually help me when it does come time to declutter my eyeshadow palette collection. And I think it'll be really fun to go through. When I first started my channel, I always said I'm not an eyeshadow palette junkie. I didn't feel the pull to buy a lot of eyeshadow palettes, and I feel like this could show that something has changed. I did recently post a video on, it was an office tour and kind of an overview of my makeup collection, and I think what I'm going to do for this video is I'm just going to grab out the sections of how I have my eyeshadow palettes organized. So for example, I'm just going to grab this first one here that was on top of my desk and go through it that way, and then that way I can just be putting everything back, because otherwise it could get really messy and overwhelming in my room. I have two palettes here from Too Faced. The first one is the Chocolate Bonbon palette. I got this one sent to me from a subscriber, which was so fun because this is my first chocolate bar palette from Too Faced. If you watched my makeup confessions tag about cult makeup favorites that I have never tried, I mentioned the original chocolate bar palettes from Too Faced, but I do have this chocolate bonbon one and I had a really good time with it. I thought the shades were really nice and I like some of these lighter pinks in there. I liked the browns, so I do enjoy that palette. And then the other one I have from Too Faced is the Sweet Peach palette. This palette was so hard to get my hands on. I was that girl waiting outside Ulta for the door to open when this released. I think it was like last spring, but I got it and I really do love this palette. I continually reach for it, quite enjoy it. The next one I have is the Urban Decay, the Naked Smoky palette. So this is what this one looks like. I'm not going to be going through and like swatching everything because this video I think is going to be long enough anyways, and if I was trying to do swatches at the same time, that could be really long video. But the Naked Smoky, I got this one as a Christmas gift last year or 2 years ago, I can't quite remember, but I got this one as a gift. I quite like it. I like the darker shades for when I am trying to create a smoky eye. I've played with this one quite a bit. And then I have my original Carli, Bybel, and ABH Cosmetics palette. This is the first one that came out, so the smaller one that has the eyeshadows and the highlights. My mom got this for me for my birthday a couple years ago and I was so excited about that. Next up I have this Makeup Revolution palette. This is the Ultra Eye Contour Light and Shade. I picked this one up to see if it was a dupe for the Kat Von D Shade and Light eyeshadow palette. It definitely is. It's a lot cheaper than the Kat Von D Shade and Light. The shades aren't, to the Kat Von D level, but still pretty good. Of course, the packaging is not quite Kat Von D either, but again, I got mine from Ulta and it was quite a bit cheaper. This one is from Anastasia Beverly Hills. It's the Master Palette by Mario. I had a subscriber, Demetra, send this one to me as well, which I was so excited about. I mentioned this in my first Makeup I Regret Not Buying video because I always, was seeing really good things about it and people really enjoyed this palette. It was limited edition, you can't get it anymore. And Demetra was like, I have two, I'll send you one. I was like, what? So cool. I am hearing that maybe a second palette is coming. Has anybody else heard that? I don't know if that's been confirmed or not. This one is a Deck of Scarlett palette. Deck of Scarlett is a subscription service. So inside, some of these are kind of going to be face palettes too, shadows in them and things like that. So we might have a little bit of overlap here, but items that are like solely face palettes, I'm going to leave out of here. But this one does have the eyeshadows up here. It has a bronzer, a highlight, and then a couple of cream. I think these are lip products, which I'm not a big fan of the creams. I have my Lorac Brunch palette. I love this palette from Ulta in the spring. This was my first purchase from Lorac Cosmetics. It's a very pastel, springy palette. I quite liked it. I know it got some pretty mixed reviews, but I thought it was pretty good. And then I have these Morphe palettes. These are the 25A and 25B. My friend Jordan did send these to me as well, which had me so excited because I think I also mentioned these in a regret video. I was like, man, I should have picked them up. They were limited limited edition. I think they're back now though. I think they're permanent maybe, and I think you can also get them at Ulta. So there's that, but we have the 25A and then the 25B. Have some little Z palettes tucked into the side here. This first one is from Makeup Geek. It has a bunch of the Makeup Geek single shadows, some of my favorite eyeshadows and some of like my OG eyeshadows. And then I have another little Z palette with some Anastasia Beverly Hills singles in here. I don't know, I've talked about these in the past. I don't even know what videos they would be in, but her single shadows don't quite impress me as much as her shadows that are in the regular eyeshadow palettes, especially Pink Champagne just did not do much for me. I think it's Pink Champagne. They're just okay to me. I definitely prefer her eyeshadow palettes. And then I do have these two Pur Vanity palettes here. These are kind of all-in-one face palettes as well. This one is called Dream Chaser, so you have your eyeshadows over here. This is a bronzer, but I typically use that as a crease shade. And then it has a blush and highlight too, and also a mirror. And then this other one is called Gold Digger, and I really enjoy this palette actually for the face items, bronzer, blush, and highlight, but it does have these eyeshadows over here as well. This one is from Tarte. My friend Lisa sent this one to me. It's the Make Believe in Yourself palette. So it's very, very shimmery, like jewel toned eyeshadow palette, and it does have a highlight shade in the middle. And that's everything in this first drawer right here, except for this palette right here. It's not technically an eyeshadow palette, it's an all face palette. So that's that one from Tarte, but otherwise everything else in here is an eyeshadow palette. The one that I have sitting on top of my desk looks like this. And then some of the palettes in here, this is the latest collaboration between Carli Bybel and ABH Cosmetics. It's the deluxe edition palette, so just more eyeshadows and more highlights in here. I really enjoy that palette. I recommend that one quite a bit too. This is from Lorac Cosmetics. It is the Pirates of the Caribbean eyeshadow palette. So here is what that one looks like. I did receive that one from Lorac, and I was so excited to get actually the full Pirates of the Caribbean collection. That was super exciting to me. And then next we have this one from Violet Voss. This is the Holy Grail eyeshadow palette. My friend Michelle sent this one to me and I'm obsessed with it. I recommend this all the time. I reach for this all the time. Definitely one of my favorite palettes. I'm very excited to see Violet Voss in Sephora. I think that's so cool. This one is from Soap and Glory. It is the Perfect 10 eyeshadow palette. And then here is what the inside looks like. It's kind of a nice neutral palette, but a little bit darker here at the end too. Soap and Glory, I think they're still at Ulta, and you can also find them at drugstores also. And then I have two palettes here from Pur Cosmetics, the Trolls palette and also the My Little Pony palette. The Trolls palette is one of my favorite palettes. I think it's so good if you can find it anywhere. I think it came back on the Pur website. I'm not sure if it's still there, but I know some people are saying they found it at Kohl's too, but I love that palette. And they recently came out with the My Little Pony palette, which I don't think is as good as the Trolls palette at all. I know some people do like this one, but for me, I didn't like this one as much, but the Trolls palette, I would definitely recommend that one. And then I have two little eyeshadow palettes on the side here. This first one is from Maybelline. It's one of the new City Mini palettes, and this one is in Rooftop Bronze. It's an all shimmer palette. It's nice, it's super small, it's easy to like store and travel with. All shimmers, so I really only reach into this, you know, not so often because I'm not a huge fan of the all shimmer palettes, but it's nice, especially for the drugstore. And then I have this one from Smashbox. It's one of the Cover Shop palettes. It's in metallic. The packaging is pretty fun on this one. And this is what the inside of it looks like. So again, it's all like the metallic shimmer shades in here. So I kind of have those two tucked over here on the side because I don't reach for them as much, but if I do need a shade like that, I can reach into that palette. Okay, so we're going to keep it rolling. So I have everything off the top of my desk, and now I'm gonna go into like the sides of my desk where I have eyeshadow palettes. Again, if you saw the room tour, this would make a lot of sense to you. So next up, I have my Morphe 35 palettes. Yeah, I got a lot of Morphe palettes. So let's just dig into this pile, shall we? So first up, we have the 35F. This one was sent to me by Morphe. These I have purchased myself. Some I recently did get a pretty large PR package from Morphe. The 35F was in there. I've used it. It's such a pretty palette. I wanted to buy this myself for the longest time, but it kept being sold out and I was getting so frustrated. Next up, we have the 35R. I did purchase this one myself when it came out, and I was obsessed with it. I love this palette. It kept coming traveling with me. I know I went out of town for a bachelorette party. This was the palette that I chose to bring with me. It is so, so good. The formula is very similar to like the Jaclyn Hill and the new 3502 palette, just a little bit lesser, but still really, really good. This next one is the 35T. This is the first ever Morphe 35 eyeshadow palette that I purchased, and I loved it. I don't know if you can tell on camera, but it is so dirty. It has been so loved. I love all of these shades. These are just like my tones. I so highly enjoyed that palette. Next up, we have the 35P. This one was sent to me from Morphe recently. I haven't had a chance to play with this one yet, but I can't wait to because I love purple. I have purple on my eyes today. I think purple and green eyes go so well together, so I'm so excited to have that palette. Next up, I have the original 350. I did purchase this one myself, and I loved this palette. Oh, it took me so long to get it because this one was always sold out, but I finally got it. I was super happy when I did. Next up, we have the 35K palette. This is another one that Morphe did send to me, but I had this one on my wish list for such a long time. I don't know what it was about like these cool tone blues over here that were just really calling to me. So I was really excited to see that one in the package that they sent over to me. And then the other one that I have here is the recent Jaclyn Hill palette that Morphe came out with. I mean, hands down, one of my favorite eyeshadow palettes like ever. I reach for this one so often. I absolutely love this palette, and I'm recommending it all the time. So that is my pile of 35 palettes from Morphe. So next to those palettes, I just have a stack here. So I have the Kat Von D Shade and Light Eye Palette, another one of my absolute favorite palettes. I have had this one for so long. I think it's an amazing all matte palette. I always recommend that one. I also have the Tarte Clay Play palette here. This is one that is an eyeshadow palette, and it does have some face shades here. I love this palette, another one that I'm always recommending. I take this one traveling with me so much. I think it's fantastic. Another favorite is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Modern Renaissance palette, of course. I love this palette. It is so used. It is so loved. Definitely a favorite. I also have the Smashbox. This is the Shape Matters Photo Matte Eyes palette, I think is the name of it. I was like so obsessed with this palette when I first got it. This is a very old eyeshadow palette to me as well. It's an all matte palette, but it has some really fun shades in here like pinks and blues, and this palette has gotten a lot of love from me. And then also in that stack is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Subculture palette. I have a pretty recent review on this palette if you haven't seen it, but I like this palette. I do reach for it quite a bit, so I have it in that stack up on my shelf as well. Then next to those stacks, I have a little holder here with some more palettes in there. All right, let's see. We have, which one is this? This is the Tarte Rainforest of the Sea palette. It is, oh, it is so pretty. This is such a gorgeous shimmer palette. This one is a new one to me. This is from BH Cosmetics. It's the Wild Child Baked eyeshadow palette. My friend Candace sent this one to me. I'm excited to try it. I've tried a lot of BH palettes, but I have not tried that one. And then also in here, this is from Chrisanna Ann Cosmetics. This is the Olympus eyeshadow palette. So this is what it looks like on the inside. Chrisanna Ann is an indie brand. I'm always trying to recommend her. I have quite a few of her products. She has this eyeshadow palette, and then she also does have some single shades as well, which you'll see a little bit later in a Z palette, and I really do enjoy her brand. And then in here I also have the Morphe and Kathleen Lights eyeshadow palette. My friend Tinka sent this one to me because I was not able to purchase it. It was limited edition and it's no longer available. So Tinka somehow was able to get it and get it all the way from Italy to me, which was really cool. So I have that one. And then the last one in here, this was also sent from Tinka. This is from Tarte, and it's the Graveyard Girl Swamp Queen palette. So this is what the inside looks like. It has a huge mirror here, and then I enjoy it because it has the eyeshadows and then also face products as well. Also on the top shelf of my desk on the opposite end of what we were just working on, this palette is from Sigma Beauty. This is the Wildflower palette. This is pretty new to Sigma. It does have a blush and highlight in here, which are gorgeous, and then 4 eyeshadow shades, and I love this palette. I mentioned it, I'm pretty sure I mentioned it in a favorites video. It's come traveling with me quite a bit. This one is from Dose of Colors. This is the Marvelous Mauves eyeshadow palette. I purchased this right when Dose of Colors came into Ulta because I was so excited about it. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous eyeshadow palette. I'm always recommending this one as well. This is another Z palette with some Makeup Geek shadows in here. These are mostly their foiled shadows or shimmer shadows, so I have them placed in here. They are such good eyeshadows, the Makeup Geek singles are. And then this palette here is from Tarte. It is the Tartelette in Bloom eyeshadow palette. Everyone was always raving about this palette, so I had to buy it, and it's a phenomenal little palette. So moving on to another portion of my desk. This here is from MAC Cosmetics. It is the Fashion Fanatic eyeshadow palette. So it has a bunch of eyeshadows and then also a highlight shade in here. I've reviewed this one fairly recently. I said I thought it was okay. It wasn't my favorite, wasn't the worst. And then I have some ColourPop palettes here. This one was sent to me from my friend Casey. I don't know if it has a name, but it has some of their new pressed shadows in here. I love the pressed eyeshadows from ColourPop. And then these two are the collaborations with I Love Sarah E. So this one is in Saucy, which has some deeper shades and some purples in there. And then this one is in Cheeky, which is more of a neutral palette, but I love the ColourPop pressed eyeshadows. Next up, I have the Girls from Desi and Katie in collaboration with Dose of Colors. I just mentioned this one in my high maintenance makeup video, but I do like this palette. I do like those as kind of like topper shades. And then also I have the Tarte and Styled by Harouche eyeshadow palette. It has 6 eyeshadows and then also a blush. I have raved about this over and over and over again. It's one of my favorites. It's limited edition. I don't know if you can find it anywhere anymore, but I love it. And then I have a palette here from Juvia's Place. This is the Masquerade Mini Eyeshadow Palette. It is so pretty. I definitely need more Juvia's Place in my life. Great eyeshadow palette. This one here is from Pur Cosmetics. It's their new eyeshadow palette in collaboration with Etienne Ortega, who is a celebrity makeup artist. I really like this palette. And this is another one from Lorac. It is their collaboration with Beauty and the Beast. The packaging on this is just like absolutely so insane, but here are all the shades and I really do like this palette as well. I have a Z palette here. This was made for me from my friend Mickey and I think it's really cool. It definitely speaks to my writer side. If you guys don't know, I am a published author. And then I just have some different singles in here. So these are some singles from Makeup Geek. These are some singles from Morphe brushes. And then these are the other singles from Chrisanna and Cosmetics. She's got some really fun colors over here. So whenever I get singles of eyeshadows or there's a blush in here too. I know I just got a new contour shade that's magnetic. I will put them in this Z palette. I also have another palette here from Pur. This is the Transformation palette. So it has some eyeshadows in here and then also a bronzer and a blush. And then I have a couple of small little palettes here from Wet n Wild. We have Velour Vixen and Plaid to the Bone. I think these were both part of either their fall or winter collection last year. And then this one is Silent Treatment. It's one of like my original Wet n Wild eyeshadow palettes. I love this one. It really helped me learn how to do a smoky eye. And then lastly, we are almost done. We're gonna go through my newer eyeshadow palettes. So I have these typically sitting on the desk behind me because they can help me remember to use them as I am testing them out. This one is from Pur Cosmetics. This is the Soiree Diaries eyeshadow palette. I did get this one sent to me from Octoly and I've been testing it out and so far I've really been enjoying this palette. I almost had my review ready because I've almost tried the majority of the shades here, but I've done really neutral. I've done more smoky. I've done some with these deeper shimmers and so far so good for this palette. I really have been enjoying it. I think the packaging is so pretty. So I also have a palette here from Vizart. This is my first Vizart or Viseart palette. It is the Petite Pro. My friend Candace sent this one to me too, and I am so excited. I've never tried any of their eyeshadows, but I hear really good things, so I'm excited to test this guy out. I also have the ColourPop Yes Please palette. Candace also sent this one to me and I have it in my trying subscribers favorite makeup video. So I believe that one should have went up on Friday, so I'll have that one linked down below. I was so excited to finally get this one. It's been so hyped up. And then this one is the Kat Von D Saint and Sinner eyeshadow palette. My friend Liv sent this one to me, so I'll have her channel linked down below. It's such a sweet gift, an amazing gift. I use this in my trying out holiday makeup, so I'll have that video linked too. This is what the inside looks like. It's a gorgeous palette and I've been having such a good time playing with that one. And then I also have here the new Morphe 3502 palette. This one was sent to me by Morphe. I do have a full review video up on it, and comparisons and demo and all that good stuff. So I'll have that video linked too, but I've been loving this palette. I think it is so gorgeous. And then I think these are my last two palettes. I keep looking around the room like, do I have them stashed anywhere else? This one is from Sigma. It's their Creme de Couture Pressed Color palette. It is a very pastel palette. This is their holiday palette, and I think it's beautiful. I've been wearing it so much lately. And then this last one here is from Urban Decay. This is their holiday palette that was in their Heavy Metal Holiday collection. So this is what the palette looks like. This was sent to me in PR as well from Urban Decay. I have it on my eyes today. I've been testing it out like crazy because I want to do a full review on it, of course. But then after these two holiday palettes, I think that is going to be everything for my eyeshadow palette collection. Whew. Alright, so that is everything for my eyeshadow palette collection. I feel like I was talking so fast, but I know that this is going to be a longer video, so I was trying to get through those as quickly as I could. I hope that you guys enjoyed seeing my collection. Like I said, I'll have a declutter coming up in maybe the next like 4 to 6 weeks or so. Kind of did help me go through the collection and see like which ones like do I love, which ones are not so much my favorite, so I already have an idea of what I can declutter when that time comes around. But I hope that you guys enjoyed seeing it. Thank you to everyone who's been requesting this video. I really did want to get it up because I know it's been so highly requested, so let me know what you think. But other than that, that's going to do it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. As always, if you did enjoy the video, I hope that you will give it a thumbs up. I hope that you will also consider subscribing before you go, and I will catch you guys in tomorrow's video.